Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to another regular Wednesday night live stream. I will probably add that this will probably be my last live stream as Christmas approaches. Welcome to everyone watching from DLive and Twitch and obviously YouTube. So before I introduce my guest, who is a fabulous guest, we'll start by doing the regular Bible verse before a live. I've chosen 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals. Okay, everyone, today I have a very wonderful guest. He's known as Michael O'Neill. He is the leader or founder, or however you want to word it, of the IMOP party, which is the Informed Medical Informed Medical. Informed Medical. Oh my god, I wrote it down and I can't read my own writing. Anyway, here he is. Informed Medical Consent Party. I've just gotten out of it now. Give me a second. This is very unprofessional. Here he is. There you are, the wonderful Michael O'Neill, IMOP, Informed Medical
Options.
Dear,
Party. It's the Informed Medical Options Party.
Options. I'm sorry. I thought it was consent for some reason.
No, that's all right. Party. Well, we are about consent, of course.
Yes,
but it's the informed. So we want information. We want to inform people in the medical area, and we want options on good information. It's very simple.
That's right. I knew that. I just couldn't read my writing, and that made sense. Okay, well, let's begin with your start. What was the whole start like? How did you start in this entire realm?
Okay, then. I've always been interested in natural health. I've been in the wellness industry for 35 years. It's sort of part of me. I understand the nature of disease and so forth, and I'm also very passionate about freedom. So in 2015, when the federal government introduced a policy called No Jab, No Pay, I thought it was a bridge too far. I looked around at other mainstream parties and I actually visited them, talked to a lot of people in the party. I wanted to know what they, particularly those in opposition, what were they going to do to object to it? I spoke to my local members to ask them, are they going to stand up for my rights to make a free choice regarding children? Even though my children were long gone, I was still passionate about this. Absolutely. I saw it a violation of our constitution. I also said that if this happens they do this to our children and override our constitution, it's only a matter of time before they will do it to us. And of course, that's where we are today. So the party was, I started getting it together 2015. It's a fairly lengthy process. It was registered 2016. And since then, we've sat for one federal election and 2 elections in Queensland.
That's amazing. And so part of your mission, I'm echoing, is have you got one of the tabs up? Or no, I'm not echoing now. Oh, good. One of your missions is to do an investigation into the claims of thousands of Australian families who have been harmed with adverse effects from the what word should I use? Inoculations, so that YouTube doesn't kick me off. How is what is your progress with that so far?
Okay, that's a good point. We have no progress with it at the moment because we have no power. The mainstream government ignores us. The media ignores us. They're not interested in representing the will of people, and that's why we're hoping to go to this federal election, as we went to the previous federal election, and be able to get people voted in. We want candidates. We have amazing candidates. We have a very diverse range of candidates. They're wonderful people. I've just been on a candidate Zoom with them, and they're very caring, lovely people. So once we're in power, and for every bit of power that we have, yes, we do want accountability. We want these people, these Australian people, okay, these are Australian families that have a real and tangible injury happened within their family to their health as a result of having a shot. And of course, we want they deserve the right to express their hurt, their anguish, and what's happened to them. And that hurt has to be addressed. And it's not. They're ignored. They're actually vilified. They're told they're anti, they're anti this and they're anti that. Really, this is an appalling situation where the government denigrates its citizens because they said, I got hurt. There is no other realm where you would find the government and the media unsympathetic. This is a very real thing. If you had a car crash and you said, my father was severely hurt, or my child, because when the tire blew out and it was a faulty tire, even though it was a new tire, they'd be straight onto it. They'd be thinking, oh, yes, we're going to investigate that those tires, and we're going to get them off the market. If they've hurt one child, that's enough for us to have a full investigation and put a hold on any further of those tires being sent in a car in Australia. And of course, that's not what happens in Australia at the car with this, not with the shots.
No, and this is sadly the case. And am I echoing again?
Not from my end, dear.
Okay. I keep hearing echoing. Sorry. Okay, so in terms of what your party offers, clearly its main foundation, its main point is informed medical options. So what does that mean overall in terms of what else would you like? What are your feelings about, say, the environment? What would your feelings be about immigration? What would your feelings be about? There are so many topics, but when a party is purely focused on the medical aspect of things, it's very limiting. So how would
That's a reasonable question. It's very broad because you've named a few different things there. So I'm not going to sit here and give a discourse on what we believe on every single thing, but we do have policies that address all those things that you mentioned, and these are all freely available up on our website at imoparty.com. We address these things because these are concerns. If we have no policy except this one policy, then we really are unbalanced. But I don't believe that in any way that the Informed Medical Options Party is unbalanced. I personally have very clear views about small business. I am a small business owner. I understand the destructive nature of the current government policy, but even previous to that, and I really do want to see less government intervention. See, one of the biggest problems that we actually have in business is government overreach, government overregulation, and where government puts their fingers in so many areas of our business. I have spent in my business over the decades literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands at one time, just trying to wade through massive bureaucracy to get something happening or done, or because they may come up with an idea that something is not being done correctly. We'll always get an outcome where we can keep operating, but the massive stress and the financial burden that happens. Now, of course, we fast track down here to 2020, 2021, and we see that this overreach has just permeated all business. There are literally hundreds of thousands of businesses in Australia that are decimated. They're gone. They're non-existent. So what happens to the people that own these businesses? They're now broke because they generally started them with debt, and particularly if they're young. What happens to the landlords of premises they were renting? They're in financial stress. It's right through the chain. And we would like to address that as well. I've just given you one example. The environment, of course, we're interested in the environment. We live here. We're very concerned. But we want the truth in the environment as well. And I say one thing. There's two things that if you're looking on in the news at the moment, it's climate crisis and COVID crisis. Mm-hmm. And so I think to myself, this is what the media is pushing. I think if they're pushing this way, I tend to want to have a look that way, and because I have very little confidence in the media anymore. That the days are gone when we turn on the news and they would report of events that happened in our neighborhood, in our country, worldwide. Now it's all sensationalism, and there's fierce agendas behind things that are being pushed.
Sadly,
So
that's the case.
I actually own a wildlife sanctuary, and I've owned
That's lovely.
450 acres, and I've turned it into a sanctuary for animals. I don't have any domesticated animals. I've had it registered as an ecotourism facility. So, I mean, we all do as much. We are consciously aware these days of the impact of what we do and how it affects the environment. And of course, we're interested, but I do shun extremism, and particularly, as I said before, a little wary about some of the extreme things that the media can sometimes go on about.
Absolutely. One of your stances I'm interested in is it's about, okay, so I'm by trade a dental assistant. It's
Yes.
right now I do different types of work, but that's
Yep.
one of the things I've done. And what we're taught is that fluoride assists with your teeth, and I've often administered it. But according to my research on you, it's something that you are against. But how does someone like yourself explain that older people don't have teeth, and that the newer generation of older people now do have their teeth? I would attribute that to tooth to mouth hygiene and to fluoride. But you're of the impression, I understand, that fluoride is actually destructive. Did you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. My grandparents had no teeth, and they were whipped out very early in their years because it was almost a practice. If you got a few, you would just go and get dentures. It was it was almost fashionable that when people had dental problems. I'm 65 years old. I had most of my, I'm just giving you my own little, first of all, my little testimony. I had shocking cavities as a child. I had a very high sugar diet. I was brought up on a very low nutrition, high sugar diet. We didn't eat much. We just ate. When I think of the diet I grew up in, I think it was very impoverished, and I got a lot of cavities.
Okay.
When I was 20 years old, I embraced a whole different lifestyle. I understood the nature of, and I eliminated pretty much sugar from my diet. I never had a cavity since that day on, and I also eliminated fluoride water from. Used tank water. I did all sorts of things. I thought, I didn't like town water. I didn't like the smell of chloride, and I'd already read some things about water. So in my personal experience, I have not experienced that. I brought my children up on a similar diet. And I remember going to the dentist with them when I was getting my mercury amalgam fillings out, which I did when I was probably maybe about 30, 35 years old. And I had my little children with me, and I told the dentist, I don't have fluoride water and I don't have sugar. He said, really? I want to look at your children's teeth. I said, I don't have a lot of money. So no, don't worry about it. I don't want to check up for them. Their teeth are fine. He said, I'll give you a checkup for free. And we had a look, and he said, I've never seen such good teeth. He said, there's not a blemish or a cavity. And I remember when my children left home, I told them, I said, I'm delivering you out into the big wide world. And he said, all your teeth are intact and you've got the tools for a healthy life. Whatever you do after this, it's on your own head. Now, there is ample scientific information to show that fluoride is actually not conducive to good dental health. Am I going too long on this? But I'll tell you.
No, please go.
You put fluoride in the water. What does the main water supply have? You wash your car, you wash your clothes, you water the plants, you do everything. It's an infinitesimal amount of fluoride. So they fluoride the entire water system, where 99+% of the water goes into cleaning and doing all these other things. And then you drink or cook with this minuscule amount of the water. Something's wrong. Doesn't even add up. Now you have countries, now in Europe at the moment, there's only 5 countries in Europe that still fluoridate their water. That's England, Spain, Poland, I think it's Serbia, and I can't think of the 5th one. These are quite identifiable facts. Austria was one of the last ones to outlaw fluoride in the water. So you've got the Scandinavian countries, you've got Germany, you've got France, you've got Belgium, you've got Italy. These countries have outlawed fluoride in their water. Why? And why is it that the countries that are controlled in their medical, like America and Australia, and of course there are some small nations that have fluoride, like Singapore, but generally fluoride is considered in many countries around the world just to be just a pointless, destructive thing to put, and it's a complete waste of money. It costs the taxpayer a fortune to fluoride. Some councils can't even afford to do it, had to discontinue their fluoridation plants. And then the state government has to step in. So we've got this very expensive practice that doesn't have any identifiable merit, but fluoride itself is a toxic substance that we're ingesting into our body. No. That's,
how come there are no peer-reviewed studies and papers like affirming what you've stated?
Do you think that, I don't have anything to give you here. Why do you think there was no studies based on Austria, Germany, and all these countries to eliminate fluoride from their water?
Are you talking about the 1940s, Second World War?
No. They just eliminated this just recently.
Okay.
Austria has only just recently outlawed fluoride in their water. The entire country of Austria. And
well, they're not worth looking at because they've jabbed their whole country and they're punishing them.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually sorry. I wasn't. I'm not prepared. I don't have anything ready at hand to give a quote here today. But yes.
Yes, so, I know there's an echo. I don't know why it is. I don't have any of my tabs up. Do you have a tab up? Or is it just this that you have up? Just StreamYard? Have you put it up on YouTube? Are you watching YouTube in any one of your computer tabs?
I'm just looking on StreamYard. I don't think so.
That's the only link you have. Okay, that's all right. I just don't know why it keeps. Let me see if I have any tabs up.
How's that?
I don't know.
I think I may have had something open. I've closed everything now. Sorry.
No, I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't. I'm still echoing, so it's probably not you. I don't know what it is. That's all right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about assisted suicide and abortion. Because your party is Informed Medical Options, does that mean that you would be anti-abortion, or does that mean you're about the option for abortion?
We, in our policies, we do have a policy there. We have a policy against late-term abortion. We don't have any definitive policy on abortion.
Are you personally pro-life?
Yes, I am personally pro-life.
Oh, that's good. What about assisted suicide? What's the party stand on that? I would assume you're against it, but
we have a concern. I have a personal concern with assisted suicide, and at the moment, I don't trust the government. If we legislate things to allow the government, at what point do they might decide that that they can take a little bit step further? And I do think we have lessons in this from the Second World War and from Nazi Germany. So yeah, I'm a little bit wary on this one, but I do believe that we actually have a form of euthanasia existing in our hospitals today, and which the reality is, and it's called the overdosing of morphine. And I know that, and I have many friends. I'm getting a bit older, and I've had people in hospital, and you go to see them, and as soon as they become a little bit difficult, or it sees that they're not going to come out of it, they just up the morphine, and it's generally considered that that's going to hasten their demise. But I don't think, I think it's sort of almost a Furby. We're talking about this, about this assisted dying. It's a right. People, they live and they die, and it's already really happening.
I remember. I'm still echoing. Do you have headphones? Could you put in headphones? Maybe.
No, I don't.
Okay, no worries. I remember watching a video several years back of a woman named Brittany Maynard. And Brittany Maynard had cancer, and she was like 28, 29. And she had chosen to die with assisted suicide. But she couldn't do it from the state she was from, and she had to move to Oregon. And before she died, she looked a bit swollen, but overall she was a pretty young lady, and she had a really bad type of cancer. And I remember, I think I was overseas in Spain when I saw this video, and I remember thinking, that's horrible. I can't believe that she's advocating for that to die. But then many would argue that, well, who cares? Like, it's up to them. It's their life. It's libertarian. It's very choice driven. And why would she want to suffer through pain if she can just sort of like end it quicker? But my response to that would be that it's probably a better idea to die with dignity and with the pain than to die with drugs and cut your life a little shorter. But in saying that, I know I'm not in that scenario, and it's horrible for me to even attempt to have an opinion on something like that. But if it's okay to then to do assisted suicide with someone who is suffering, then like, where is the bar set? The bar could be set, and then it becomes about, oh, well, old people, we don't need them. They're disposable. And then people start abusing the power, and that's the main thing that concerns me. Do you have a thought on that?
I thought that was what I was saying. That's the area that concerns me, because the reality, if a person wants to die now, you can die. You have a choice to take your own life or not take your own life. You can just do it. You can do it. And I've often said to my children, there'll come a day, I hope that my wits are about me enough that I'm going to get in the car and drive into the desert, and I'm going to sit out there and never come back. Well, I mean, I'm not going to do it now. But honestly, what scares me is the whole hospital thing. I have a natural abhorrence to this medical, the white coats, and being in there, and then when people we've given them power to determine. Who determines with this when someone's going to die? Does the person themselves determine it? Does their family determine it? What's the motives of their family? Are they determining because the inheritance will get there a bit quicker? I mean, there's just a whole lot of reasons. And I honestly don't trust the medical profession a great deal, and I don't trust our government a great deal, not our current government. And it's a question that I have cautions about. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I have cautions about this euthanasia debate.
Fair enough. It is said that in our future, that echo. It is said that in our future, half the population will be gone, say in 4 to 5 years, because we don't know the specifics of what's taking place in people's bodies because of the double dose. What do you think, according to your research and your understanding of medicine?
I don't know. I've heard people say these sort of things as well. I think it's a very bold and position to say that half the population is going to be dead in 4 to 5 years. I wouldn't say such a thing. The body has an amazing ability to come back and to heal itself. It's getting devastating assault at the moment. Okay, so we've had 2 vaccines that have already produced a lot of heartache, death, and disability in people. We're going for the number 3. It won't be long before it'll be number 4. And if they have their way, it will be perpetual jabbing for the rest of your life. That's going to have a terrible impact. Even though the body is very resilient and can come back and has the ability to heal itself, it's continually being bombarded Some bodies will be strong and develop even an immunity to the poisons that are going into them, because they just have very strong constitutions. And of course, some people don't have strong constitutions. And yeah, we are in the middle of a huge experiment, and I don't think it's right that a population of the world is being experimented on. If it was just one country, it would be alarming. But the fact that it's so invasive all over the world, it's just staggering. It's scary, and I don't trust it at all. I don't believe their narrative. I'm not interested in participating in the experiment, and I'm not. And why we fight this fight is because we want people to have the choice to opt out of these experiments or these invasive products. Taking a drug, to me, or even going to the doctor, is just not something that is in my comprehension. And at my age, I have family. They'll say to me, "Oh, have you had your test? Have you had this test and that test?" And I get these bowel cancer kits that the government sends me all the time to go and have. I can't even comprehend all this, because I have great faith in the body. I do what I can to keep it healthy with my teeth, my body, and it looks after me. We've become to trust in the great Medicare model. We think it's a wonderful thing that we've got this Medicare, and we're all taken care of. Like we've become a very soft society, a lot of us. Well, I'm not. I don't feel I'm a soft person. I don't feel like I've got to run to the doctor, or I've got to run here and there and get tested and checked, and so they can come up with some sort of diagnosis or find that something's a little low and then put me on some medication, which will have which then will require me to have another medication to fix me up from the effects of the first medication. So I'm medication free. I'm 65 years old. I hope and pray that I'll never have to have one for the rest of my life. I have no intention of going. I will never say never, but that's my plan. And I should have the right to live like that. And many other people live like that too. I know people older than me. Anyway, I have a friend, 93 years old. He takes zero medication. He said that I have no interest in taking medication. And he gets around and he works and he eats healthy and he's a happy man.
That sounds really good.
He doesn't go and he doesn't check his blood pressure because he doesn't want to know. He doesn't check his cholesterol level. He doesn't want to know. He lives healthy and he feels good. That's good enough for him. He's done his test.
That's good. Would you mind muting the microphone when I talk? Your microphone, just for a second. I want to see if that works and it stops the muting, the echoing. Okay. Hang on. I'll do it. Oh yeah, you've done it. Okay. No, I'm not echoing at the moment. All right. So my next question is essentially about, because you know about food. You and your wife are both very intelligent when it comes to health and food. Do you think our food has been tampered with in the last? I found out recently. I don't know if it was the conversation that I had with you or whether it was someone else, but I recently found out that carrots used to be purple and now they're orange. And our watermelons used to look different, and our bananas didn't used to fit in your hand like that. They were thicker. Our food has changed dramatically if you look at it 500 years ago and today. Why do you think that is, essentially, is my question. You can unmute yourself.
Foods are different. Most foods are different for commercial viability, because they hybridize or genetically modify plants that they will grow quicker, yield more, and be resistant to things like the Roundup that's sprayed there. They'll spray Roundup to kill the weeds. They develop a plant like your wheats and things, so they're resistant to the Roundup. They grow them shorter than they used to and higher yield. All this has a detrimental effect on the food that we're eating. Our food is also harvested very early, nearly always green. And in cases, now I used to own a fruit and veggie store many years ago, And so part of that was I went to the markets every week. I went to there in Brisbane. I purchased all my supplies for my shop, and it was trucked back to my store. Bananas come so green that you would think that why did they pick? So they're put into these big gas rooms at the market, and they're gassed. If a banana comes into the market from the grower and it was yellow, it would be rejected. It had to be green. Then they gas them. Then we took them home gassed, and then they would ripen very quickly after gassing on our shelves and in our wherever we stored them. So there's a lot of interference. I don't believe the food is as good as it was. I think there's quite a bit of evidence about that. You take, for instance, wheat has been so hybridized now, we have massive problems with gluten intolerance. But if you go back and eat some of the original grains, like your emmer grains, your spelt grains, people that have gluten intolerances usually will not have them to these original grains. So yeah, this is a huge subject, and it's all about taking responsibility of our health. The current medical profession deals in three ways. They're trained and they operate. They'll either medicate you, they'll either radiate you, or they'll operate on you. So that's their eight: medicate, radiate, operate. We like to work on educate, investigate, and rejuvenate. And these are powerful tools. We don't need medical interventions for good health. The question there says, didn't bananas used to be purple? They do have purple bananas, that's true. As for the question about did carrots used to be purple, you can get a purple carrot as well. So whether they used to be all purple or not, I'm not sure. But we currently have both colours. We have a system now that's so weaned us over the years. We now have free medical in Medicare, and we've become to trust the medical profession, the doctors. So who's become our doctor? Not only the doctor we go to, but the media is now our doctor. They have health articles, they talk about it. And we've so embraced this that now they've said to us, there's a pandemic in the land. And of course, the only solution they can ever offer is medicate, radiate, operate. Of course, it's medicate. Medicating is a very lucrative proposition for certain people. So hence, we've got a problem. The problem's been coming for a long time, and we're on the cutting edge. We're at the pointy end of that problem. We've given away all the old remedies. We've given away common sense in health. We think, what would be a great thing when we got a pandemic? I would think getting fresh air and breathing good air. Well, no, we'll put a mask on you. I think going outside and getting some sunshine, one of the laws of life and health. No, we'll stay inside. I think drinking water and going to the beach. No, it could be a super spreader. I think social interaction, like true social distancing, is hugging and kissing and feeling love with those that you love, your family and your friends. No, that's dangerous. So their whole solution to this is just a lot of rubbish. It's anti-health and it's pro-medication. And I am anti-medication and pro-health.
I've just muted your mic. Yeah, that's everything you have stated. I understand it. I believe that there is an agenda at play, and it didn't start with where we're currently arrived with the whole inoculation. There's been little agendas playing for a long time, and our food is one of them. And as you indicated with the whole fluoride thing, our water's probably one of them, even though I need to be more educated on that topic. Do you believe that people were healthier prior to such corporatization of everything, prior to such secrecy and institutions and Illuminati, or whatever the terms are, whatever the words are? Do you think people were healthier back in the day and that we think we're so great and we have all this intellectual arrogance. Oh, humanity, we've been on the moon and we've done all this. We think we're the most advanced society, but do you think it's possible that before us, for the 1800s or whatever, people were healthier? I'm going to unmute you now.
Well, I've unmuted. Okay, that's an interesting question because it's been in cycles. During the Industrial Revolution, we went into a time of ill health. People started to work very long hours in sweat factories and industry, and these had a life-shortening. They just shortened people's life. They worked very long hours, low wage, had poor nutrition, poor sanitation, and they had high mortality rates amongst children and even adults. It wasn't a real healthy time to live in. But of course, in our generation, we've seen now the advent of sanitation. It was almost inconceivable 100 years ago. Every house would have a shower in it that would deliver hot water with clean, inexpensive soap where you could wash yourself, clean your teeth, and that we would have available water that wasn't maybe drawn out of a well that a rat had died or fallen into, and we didn't have sewage running down the streets. We have people to take our garbage out of our house and away. These definitely are major benefits to health. Okay. On the offside of it is that we've also braced the medical model. So we've seen the increase in sanitation. I read a book some years ago, and it was all about the building the sewage system in the city of London. It went through the whole thing, how they built it. It was an engineering feat. When it was opened, the mortality rate just plummeted almost overnight. Where people survived and lived longer because they got rid of all the rubbish that wasn't out on their streets. They weren't breathing in the fumes. Anyway, so we live in cities. We don't have good nutrition. In the 1800s, I don't think that's a good example of good health. I don't think the Dark Ages, particularly if you lived in the cities, they had plagues. There were a lot of ignorance. But I think if you have a look at history and go back prior to that, when people lived a simpler life, and particularly those that lived a rural life, they had good life. They often died of accidents, and sometimes they died when they had famines and so forth. Their crops failed. We have a lot of benefits in our modern age, and they're not to be downplayed. I mean, I would much prefer to live in our sanitary lifestyle that we do. I'm staying here. I have all the convenience. I have an indoor toilet that gets rid of everything out of sight without a minimum of fuss. And of course, food is available from all sorts of places through modern transport. So I can be eating things that are not grown here. So I'm not. So is that answering your question, Dia?
I would probably say yes. I'm echoing again. Yes, I would say that that answers the question. You would prefer to live in this era, but there were moments in our past where there was healthy things as well. Did I understand you right?
Yes. Now, me personally, I live on 450 acres. I've chosen to buy a property. I have a mountain stream that runs right through the middle of my property. So I can go at any time. I have, I maybe have half a kilometre or so of stream. I can go and swim there. I drink the water, even though I filter it because I run a retreat for my guests. I don't filter it. I've decided long ago I do not want filtered water. For me personally, I drink it because I feel that the water's fairly clean and it actually builds up. I have a stronger immune system for it. That's my choice. And we grow a lot of food there. I exercise. I walk in the mountains. I look at the sky. I watch the sunrise. I watch the sunset. I breathe fresh air. I mean, I think that's a great way. But we still have all the modern conveniences in the country as well. And we I travel a lot, and I'd go into Africa, into Asia, and you see these people that are my age that look very, very old. And sometimes I'll meet someone, I'll say, "Oh, hello," to a man, and he'll say, the person will say, "This is our aged father," and I'll say, how old are you?" And they'll say, "I'm 64," and I'll think, same age as me. But they've worked so hard, they've broken their body in hard work. Whereas today we have so many machines that do our work, and some people probably people work very hard, but majority of us don't work hard. We're overweight, we're suffering from obesity, and in many cases morbid obesity, great health destroying things, because we sit, we watch television, we are entertained in our own home. We can live a solitary life. We don't even have to go out. We just call up Uber Eats and they bring in some more junk food that just makes us sicker and more unhealthy. And we're in this position. And then we're watching these screens, mesmerised, and then they talk about COVID. And of course, COVID, I'll get more Uber Eats. I'll eat more rubbish too. I'll stay at home, and I can't get that fresh air. I'll keep my mask on. And then, of course, the media hails with great fanfare, and we have got we can, and this will save our life. And of course, people, yes, I want my life to be saved, and off they go. When some good, simple, let me see a question. How will IMOP try and educate the voter stock for? Yes, that's a good thing. Better roads, more jobs. Yeah. Well, often I hear political parties go to the election, they say, more hospitals, more on education, more hospitals. This is the great cry, more hospitals. I'm thinking, really? We want more hospitals? No, we want more health. We need to start addressing our health problems. To me, it's like we have just to use a little analogy, you can have a cliff, and people can come up to the cliff, and people are falling over the cliff, and they go to the bottom, and they're seriously hurt or die. So they go to the hospital, but you know what we need? We need a fence up at the top to stop people falling down. And that's what I see, proper health education. People don't need more hospitals. We don't need more ambulances. We need more health. We need to educate people in the ways of true health. It's cost very little. Their health budgets, it would be an infinitesimal amount, and it could relieve hospital beds, exponentially. So, better roads, more jobs. Yes, well, people do. It's not the government's job to continually be finding us jobs. It's the government's job. Yes, they can build the roads, but they also should be the guardians of our freedom. They're not at the moment. They've sold out on that. We've now become to embrace the safety mantra, where safety is everything. And that's true. People now do live like fatted calves, just moving around. And we even say to people, "Oh, stay safe, safe travel." And I've had a little mantra I've been saying to my friends, and I say to them, they're about to go, I said, "See you later, take a risk." And of course, there's a lot of noise coming in there.
Sorry. Did that stop?
Yeah. Anyway, we've Michael, will you be endorsing Michael Sims? Michael Sims is an endorsed candidate for the Informed Medical Options Party. That's the answer to that question. And he'll be running in Canberra. So, yes.
I'm trying not to talk too much because of the echo. Here we go. So Michael, okay, I'll read the question out because I didn't realize you muted your mic. Michael, what's IMOP's policy on restoring country railways to transport people, freight, food, and freighting water by rail to the regions during drought from the diesel cities to the drought regions? I wouldn't have never even thought of asking something like that. That's a good question. Go ahead, ask away. I will mute my mic and unmute yours.
They're a fantastic way to move things that can be quite efficient. Unfortunately, the railways, particularly people moving in the country, the people seem to prefer to travel in their cars. And I live in a rural area, and I've watched the decline of railways, and I actually try and catch the train as much as I can now. For instance, I live up near Kempsey, and we're on the main line between Sydney and Brisbane, and I quite enjoy sometimes if I have to go to Sydney, I think I'll just catch the train. It's a great way to get, but I see the declining numbers. And once upon a time, that train, the XBT, used to pull into the station. It was a long train. They've now cut the carriages down. There's not many people. People aren't using them, which is unfortunate because it is a great way to travel. And of course, it's we're conglomerating. Moving water from desal plants, I think that could be a way, but also pipelines are a more long-term and even robust way of doing it. Just moving water out to the country. I'm not sure of the efficiency of desal plants. I'm not saying I'm against them, but also they're very high electricity users, and so therefore you've got to consider where the electricity is coming from to generate them. And if you can get cheap power to run them, then it becomes efficient. You see them, they operate them over there in, say, United Emirates, but they use a lot of oil to develop water. Again, we don't have, is that counterproductive? We did have a drought, and of course, we were severely affected to the drought. In fact, I experienced through my property fires just went right through the place. Our creek ran dry. We dug down and we found water. Water was there, and we were able to fill our water carts, and we had some very tense weeks. But I have 17 buildings on my property, and we didn't lose a building. And we just stayed there and worked very hard. And it wasn't a fun time, but we did it. We felt a sense of achievement when it was finished.
Does your party support banning vaccines? Oh, I shouldn't have said the word. As a whole, or just making natural remedies more accessible? That's a good question, Pissy. Oh, sorry, I didn't unmute you. Hang on.
Okay. This is the we want 4 gates that any vaccine has to go through. 1, it has to be independently proved to be safe. Number 2, it has to be independently, not through the pharmaceutical government, not through conflicted organisations, but independently and unconflicted organisations prove that it actually works. Number 3 is we want to restore liability for the makers, so that they have financial incentive or to make them work and be safe, because at the moment they can't be sued. And number 4, it has to be voluntary. Look, if it can pass those 4 tests, then that's fine. Currently, they don't. They don't pass one of them in our current, even the number 4, where you can have a choice. We're seeing that disappearing. Natural remedies. I believe that if we're going to have a free medical service like Medicare, I believe it's a person's choice. They pay tax into it, and that if they're going to they should be able to access a naturopath and what he prescribes just as readily as it should subsidise a doctor and what he prescribes. Why should one modality of healthcare be subsidised by Medicare and the other ignored, when it's a person's choice to choose the other way? Of course, I'll say, oh, it's very unscientific. Rubbish. It's a person's choice. If a person wants to go to the doctor and get their heart medication from him, do it. And if that's going to be subsidised. But equally, it has to go the other way. If a person wants to go and get their hawthorn berries from a company like Mediherb or their naturopath, which we know work even more effectively without the side effects, then that's fine too. That should be covered. I'm not a great fan of Medicare at all, actually. I feel that Medicare needs to be dismantled. I paid last year, I paid a Medicare levy of, in addition, I think I paid $6,000 when I did my tax. There's nothing that Medicare offers that I want. There's nothing. I mean, so I've paid over $100 a week for a system that has no interest to me. But if they were funding some natural things, yeah, I could get it. So it's a prejudicial thing that doesn't treat all the people. It's only in favor of the big pharmaceutical companies and the current so-called medical profession.
Okay, next question is from Twitch T2207. What you are up against such enormous forces of well-funded individuals and companies able to control, shift, or sway perceptions on such a massive scale through electronics devices and platforms. How do you suggest combating it? Let me unmute you. Go ahead.
I have no illusions as to how big and how evil these companies are. I'm not being glib when I say evil, because they are the most corrupt companies in the world by virtue of the amount of fines that they have received. They have received over $42 billion in fines collectively that I've read. Pfizer itself got fined something like $2.3 billion just a while ago. So these are truly corrupt companies. They don't have the maybe at their very inception they had the welfare of mankind at heart, but it's all gone now. It's all about market share, product saturation, and of course they are so well funded. I had a man come to me at a protest rally, and he said, I've been with the National Party and I'm their fundraising guy for 10 years. And he said, I'm getting out because they want me to be jabbed. And he said, that's what I do. I fundraise for the National. I said, oh, would you like to fundraise for IMOP? He said, I'd like to help you. He said, but I can tell you how they raise their funds. And I said, oh, how's that? And he said, pharmaceutical money. Pharmaceutical money is pivotal in their whole financial plan. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, well, we're not interested in that one. Money is the good book says it's the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. I believe that our current team of politicians have become blinded by the money, and if not by the money, by fear of their own political positions. So acknowledging that we're fighting against a behemoth, this massive these corrupt companies, I also know that politically we have a political problem in our country because decisions are being made at a political level that are unfair and against our constitution and are biased against a certain section of our society. So what I would like to do, and every member of IMOP like to do, and also every member of CADCO, which is the Commonwealth of Australia Democratic Cooperative, which is the Great Australia Party and the Australian Federation Party, we want to put people in there. We would like people to vote for us so that when we're inside the place, people tell me, oh, yes, but it's too corrupt. You're only part of a corrupt system. Well, how's it working from throwing stones from the outside? How's that working? Not so good, actually, because you are actually ignored or vilified. But we want to get in there. We want to be a vehicle to represent your voice. People who believe what I believe and what people will vote for us, we want to go in there and say, no, we don't accept this current narrative. We have a corrupt system. We will push for royal commissions into the claims of parents that have had children injured. We've done a register at the Informed Medical Options Party. We've put it up on our website and we've sent it to every politician in Australia. We've documented the conflicts of interest of every decision maker in Australian vaccine policy. We've had scientists working on this. We've had good people. all anonymously, and we've documented it, and we've put it out there in the public domain. And I'll tell you, we haven't finished with this. We've got this. We've got Jane Halton. We've got a lot of these, you know, they're fully conflicted. They're not operating in the best interest of the people. They're operating in the best interest of theirs truly. That's absolutely wrong. Has to be rectified. We will try. Okay, that's all we'll do. We will try. And we have David and Goliath. We have stories of the small men beating the big one. So if we could stay at home, I've had very good friends. I mean, I have a good business. I could be, if it wasn't for COVID and traveling the world. And a lot of my friends say, Mike, what are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, these are the years. These are your golden years. Now you should sit back. You know, we could. You know, I've got a friend. He's got a 60-foot yacht. He said, just come with me, Mike. We'll sail and we'll go. And I say, you know, that's not my radar. I'm not interested in that. You know, that'd be like Nero fiddling while Rome burned. Our country's burning. We just can't be fiddling around. We've got to do something. And each of us are only one person, but we can, whether that's to vote or to letterbox or to go and write a letter to your local member, whether it's to stand with a sign, whether it's to go to the stand in the park, whether it's to talk to people at your church, whatever. Everybody has a voice. We've got to stand up against the rot that's happening in our country. We've got to somehow do it. It's our duty. It's our obligation. In a time of national crisis, it's the duty of every Australian to rise up to the challenge. Essentially, they've declared war on a section of our society, and we've got to fight back.
Agenda 2030, will we be taxed out of rural land? I will.
Obviously, if they get their way, they would. But we've got to fight back. We've got to try and make sure that Agenda 2030 doesn't happen. I mean, I live on rural lands, and I can tell you now that it's very, there's a lot of rules, particularly that come through state governments that are anti people living on the land. I think they would just like to have mega farms all swallowed up, where they just mass produce wheat, mass produce food, mass produce cows and sheep and everything, just to be slaughtered to feed the masses in the city, or what is left in the city. And people that just want to live and have a peaceful existence in nature, breathing the fresh air, experiencing the joys of waking up and not having to look in your neighbour's backyard or listening to their arguments through the night. You know, this seems to be departing. I mean, we got to fight back and try to make that not happen, for our sake and our children's sake.
We definitely need to do that. I think I'm going to close up just because I'm not feeling the best. I know that there are more questions. I'm really sorry, guys, but I do want to show everyone a small portion of a video. I never thought I had met you before, but it turns out I have filmed you before. I know you know what I'm about to show, so I'm just gonna. Do you care if I show it? No. Okay. So you're still on mute, but I wanna show it. Give me a second, guys. This will be funny. You guys will like this. Microsoft Edge. Here it is. Share. Let me just go back here and unmute you. And let's watch.
Can I hear it? You got to hear your instructions. What do we got?
I don't know these people.
Yes,
I'm only talking to these 20 in front of me. Whoever you else are, I know.
That's why you need to do that. This is just so wrong.
We got it.
You alright? I know. Back in Germany.
Number 7. Let him go.
Okay, well, there you go. That brought back a memory.
But I showed the wrong one.
I saw myself. Yes. What
I
actually?
had a different one.
Oh, did you? Sorry about that. Well,
The
look,
one
what
with
happened?
The music. Remember the one that I had that I sent you, and it had the like it had the Benny Hill music. That one didn't show that. I didn't realize I made 2 videos.
Yeah. What happened? For those, I was speaking there, and they carted me away, but as they were getting me off the place, I broke loose and I took off and had a good old run, and I ran past them and they plunged at me and they couldn't catch me, and all these young out of condition, over medicated policemen. Anyway, so eventually, but they did tackle me to the ground, and of course I was taken away and charged. But anyway, it was a great day and it was a bit of fun, and just silly how with all what they were doing, just ridiculous. I was trying to just make it a bit of a lot. Well, once they relaxed their grip on me, I thought, oh, I can get away from these guys. They didn't have a chance to catch me.
I'm actually looking through my YouTube right now as I'm talking to you. Sorry, I'm echoing. I can't see the video. It's like it's disappeared. It's like they've taken it down and they haven't told me. That's disappointing. That's the only video I can find. The one with the music that I sent you. I don't know if that was a YouTube video or not now. That's the only one I can find. I wonder whether it was removed. Hang on. Yeah. Anyway. Okay.
Do you have any more questions, or is that?
I think we're good. I've had such a good interview. I'm really, really pleased that you made yourself available to me. I've enjoyed our interaction leading up to this as well. And you're genuine. You're in it for the right reasons. I absolutely believe that, and I think you definitely should be one of the smaller parties that gets in. Hopefully, because people seem to think that, once you vote a smaller party, they can become the next prime minister. No, but you'll definitely put the slant back in the favor of the people, and I think you guys are definitely worth voting for.
That's right. And there's a lot of people will think that your vote is wasted by giving it to a small party. That's actually not true. Your vote is not wasted at all, and it's wasted if you give it to the big parties completely. That's only their mantra. They say, oh, don't waste the vote on the small party. That's their marketing ploy. Okay, you got to understand, it's not a logical argument. It's just their marketing ploy. So don't listen to it. Vote for the small ones, and we send them a message that, no, we're sick of the way you treat us like mushrooms. You just pile all the crap around us and keep us in the dark. No, we are a sovereign people. We live in a liberal democracy. We have a constitution that guarantees freedom, and they are operating, mocking us, mocking our constitution, and are serving not the people of Australia, but the people that are benefiting them financially, and they live in mortal fear of bad press. And so they can't have bad press. They act on their ratings. We're not going to act on ratings. We're going to act on what's right and what we were voted to do. So anyway, look, Dia, thank you very much for having me on tonight. It's been a pleasure to meet you and get to know you, and thank you very much. And thanks for anybody out there that took the time to listen. And yeah, thank you.
I'm just going to mute your mic. Oh my gosh, the echo. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been wonderful. I know that there are a few more questions, but it's really, really hot where I am. God bless you all, and I hope to see you all again, and I hope to keep having a friend in you.
Yes, 100%. Okay. Thank you, Dia.
No worries. Bye, everyone.